Hello everyone and welcome to a new video from Your Overwatch. I'm Eddie the Chump and today we've got another really special interview for you. Today's guest is the Overwatch League Pro for the San Francisco Shock, Danteh, and the big topic that we'll be covering is the new version of Sombra on the PTR. Danteh is considered one of the best Sombra players in the Overwatch League, so it's great to be able to get his perspective on what has been a fairly controversial rework, with a lot of known Sombra players feeling that she's now in an overall weaker state than she was before. We cover his own personal feelings about the changes, how he would tune the character to make her a little bit more viable, and what it is about the meta around her that makes her quite difficult to play. So without waiting any longer, let's dive straight into the questions. What do you think the overall power level is of Sombra in her present PTR state?
I don't think Sombra really got much of a buff on PTR. I think it's kind of a nerf in some ways. It didn't really address her problems that she has right now. Yeah, it just doesn't help with her current problems. I think Sombra's main problem was she just didn't find enough value, whereas other DPS heroes could find more value, at least in this new meta with like Bridge and Hanzo and Widow. Say that other team has a Bridge and you get a hack, there's a good chance they're running like triple support or something. Maybe they'll have a Zen, Mercy, Bridge, and like say you hack the Reinhardt, you're like, oh, that's a really good hack, he doesn't have a shield. Then he gets Mercy Beam, Bridge Armor, maybe like a Zarya Bubble, and like even if you have like 3 people focusing, there's a good chance he'll be able to stay alive just because it's like, if you dump resources into something, like you can keep a hacked person up. But say like the other team's Hanzo just like headshots an Ana, like what do? You can't really do much about it. You can just prevent hacked targets from dying, I think. And like that's the main thing of Sombra, her main kit.
What are the upsides of the changes that they've made, if there are any, from your perspective?
The upsides obviously is permanent invis, but that's like the only thing. Actually, I think the translocator thing is really cool, how you can destroy it, because if sometimes you mess up your TP or like you can't use it because there's people by it, and it's really nice to be able to cancel it. But the reason why the invis isn't good is because like they slowed down the invis, and that like makes Sombra a slower paced hero, and she's already pretty slow paced because like you have to place your TP, you have to invis, you have to find a good spot, and in a meta like this with double sniper, like Bridge, Zarya, all that stuff, a lot happens. Like if you're giving a Hanzo 5-10 seconds to do stuff, then there's a good chance he'll probably find a pick, and in that time you can maybe find a hack, but that's about it. So it's kind of bad because it plays in the favor of the other team.
Okay, so I've seen some other notable Sombra players like Fitzy say that the upside to this new Sombra is that the infinite stealth gives you opportunities that you wouldn't have got before. But what you're describing to me is that the time pressure is really important. So in your estimation, are those extra opportunities that you get now not really worth it?
Yeah, I don't think it's that strong because a lot of times, like the Overwatch is a really, really fast game, and Sombra's already a slower paced hero, and the more time you're giving the other team to do stuff, the more they'll make out of it, especially in a meta with like double snipers, because all it takes is one headshot and the other team has a huge advantage. And then like if you're just waiting for the perfect opportunity, and then maybe they get a kill, and then you don't have that perfect opportunity because you just were waiting. So like you kind of got to make plays happen, and I don't think it's like, I mean obviously it's good to be patient, but a lot of times it can like be bad in this kind of meta because everything's just so fast.
Do you think that's a result of the fact that you're obviously playing in the pro context where the consequences of a good or bad player are so much sharper?
Yeah, definitely at the higher level, like GM and above, that's when people start getting really good mechanically, and pro scene is obviously the best mechanics. I think like even at lower levels, the Hanzos, like the good Hanzos in your games or the good Widows, will still be able to make something out of like if they have time and space. So I think all around it's kind of bad to play a slower paced game.
That slower pace being an obvious downside, are there any other downsides to how she's been tuned on the PTR that really stick out to you?
Well, the invis thing's kind of bad because it's like, I think it's double range that you can be found out of invis. Yeah,
it was 2, now it's 4.
Yeah, that's kind of bad because another problem with Sombra is like, say you had your TP down, you're going invis, you're trying to get in their backline, and then someone finds you and then like unstealths you. Everyone's like looking at you because you're just in the middle of them. So you have to TP back, and you have to reset your cooldowns, go back invis, and then it just takes a while. And like time is really, really important in Overwatch, so that gives the other team a lot of time, and that can be really bad if you get unstealth more frequently.
Okay, so I've seen some people saying that that distance change of 2 meters to 4 is really bad, kind of what you're saying, because there's loads of geometry where you used to be able to sneak behind people that you no longer can, like corridors or tight corners. Is that a particular concern to you?
Yeah, that's like really bad for any like tight maps or like not maps that like aren't really wide open. Maybe like Numbani, like if you're trying to go through like a tighter area, because there's like a lot of really tight areas on the map, it could be really difficult to get through.
Okay, so it's not just a case of you can't get her kit to work, it's the fact that her kit compared to others, even when you do get it off, isn't quite as strong in this meta, in your opinion.
Yeah, in this meta. Because like a while ago, over a year ago, Apex Season 3, Sombra was like literally played on almost every map except for most costs. On every map is a DPS. And the reason for that was Lucio Zen. It was like a really weak healing. So it was like really easy to follow up with hacks. Like you hack a D.Va, she's 100% dead. Like you just, like D.Va's hack, they can't really pocket that. Tracer's hack, like you can't pocket it. But in this meta where there's so much heals, it finds it like it's really hard to follow up with hacks.
Do you think the new Sombra is more predictable than the old Sombra?
I don't know. I kind of think of it similar, just a lot harder to do the things you want to do because you're slower in invis. People can see you from farther. I mean, obviously, I have perma invis, but I don't really think that was a problem because, like, with the old invis, you could get a lot of places pretty fast, and it just wasn't a problem before. At least for me, and I think a lot of other Sombra players.
How much of a difference do you think her slower speed while invisible makes to her?
I think the slower speed makes a pretty big difference. It just feels so slow now, and when you're crossing choke points and stuff, there's a really good chance, like, just a random spam could hit you now, and then you can't go through the choke. It could decloak you, and that's just kind of really annoying, because you gotta, like, reset your cooldowns, wait for invis again, and then they know that you're playing Sombra, and it's just really bad, because it takes a lot longer to do things, and Sombra was already slow-paced as it is, so they just made her even more slow-paced.
What impact does her not being able to contest while invisible make to her kit?
I think it's kind of bad because there's a lot of times where you'll be going to point and like you're invis. I saw a clip that Fitzy posted on his Twitter the other day, and like he was on playing Hanamura. His TP was above the point, and like he TP'd back up and invis to go on point for a second, like just to stall, and then he couldn't stall, and they just kind of capped because like yeah, he couldn't stall while invis. I don't know, I wouldn't really say it's broken stalling invis because like really easy, like it shows that someone's contesting, and like if they know you're playing Sombra, it's really easy to just to shoot around and find you. So yeah, I think it's pretty dumb that you can't contest while invis.
If you were to fix her ideally, say if you were to have a dev sit with you and make all the changes that you think she needed, what would they be?
I think a lot of Sombra's problems are behind the meta, so I would probably tweak the other heroes like Mercy and Bridge and all the heroes that kind of like put Sombra down, and maybe make some damage changes to Sombra because I feel like that's a big problem. For example, Zen and Brigitte, they're support heroes, and sometimes they do more damage than Sombra. Like that's just like really bad considering they're doing a lot of healing and other things.
Okay, so I was going to ask you, there's one particular example that Fitzy brings up, which is he thinks is a problem for her, which is that she can't cancel her reload with a hack. She can cancel it with melee like other characters can. Do you think that's a particular problem for her?
Yeah, I think it's just like if they add that, it'll be just a lot smoother because there's a lot of times where you'll reload and then you'll just see like the perfect opportunity to hack someone and then you can't because you're reloading.
If she were to go live as she is on the PTR now, what do you think would happen to her in the pro context? Because you're obviously a pro player, we'll deal with that one first. What do you think should be played more or less how she is on the PTR now?
She's not really played at all right now in the Brigitte meta because Brigitte just shuts her down so much. Same with snipers. Any high damage burst hero is pretty effective versus Sombra. In the Overwatch League, there's been almost every meta has had a lot of high burst damage, so she hasn't been played that much and like not at all this stage. It'd continue to be like that.
The difference between the two contexts of matchmaking and the pro level is that the pro level, the teams are much more organized. Attacks and setups are much more deliberate, whereas matchmaking, you might be under even more time pressure when you're a Sombra in the backline looking for that opportunity because your teammates are just going to relentlessly feed. Do you think that at any point she's going to be more viable in the pros than she is in matchmaking?
I wouldn't say she's going to be more viable. Like, you're going to have more coordination. Both teams will have more coordination in pro scene. And when someone's hacked, and in this current meta, it's a lot easier to protect the hacked person than it is to follow up with the hacked person. Because if you're trying to follow up with a hack, they're going to be like getting triple pocketed. You're going to invest all your resources, and you're not going to be able to kill that person. And maybe you'll die because you have to dive into the person, and they'll just have like a Hanzo or a Widow free shooting at you. And your Sombra is just like shooting her little gun that doesn't do much damage when the other team has triple support.
I'm getting the impression that her damage profile is a problem for her in your mind. How would you change her machine pistol?
I'm not sure if there's like really a balanced way of making her gun strong, because if you up the damage, then it'll be like really, really strong. But if it's down like it is right now, I feel like it just doesn't do that much damage, because the other team always has the option just to play Brigitte. It makes it really hard to do anything, because armor and 3 heals is just so effective against Sombra.
Okay, so I'm getting the impression that you feel that these PTR changes don't make her good enough to play at the pro level anyway, and that a lot of that is to do with the heroes that are good, you know, all this like high burst damage, things like that. And you did mention that you would make changes to those other heroes to make room for other characters like Sombra. Who in particular do you think needs attention for Sombra to be viable to play?
I think Brigitte is like kind of responsible for the meta right now, because she shuts down any low damage heroes like Tracer, Genji, Sombra, like Soldier, like anything that doesn't have high burst damage is really like ineffective right now, because Brigitte is just so much heals if you have Brigitte Zen Mercy, which is the meta. Or it's not really meta, but like if you're playing a comp with one of those heroes, all they have to do is go Brigitte, and then that hero is really ineffective.
So say Blizzard do keep the PTR version of Sombra that's up there right now, what changes would you make to that kit to make her better?
I would just remove the PTR changes, because I feel like they're more of a nerf than a buff. And then I would try to change her hack or damage to make it so then you can follow up with hacks more.
The community reacted pretty badly when hack was buffed to a certain point, and in fact a lot of the pros were heavily against it as well. That's why it was nerfed back, particularly the line of sight mechanics, how that worked. Do you think there's an essential problem with a hero like Sombra because she is a shutdown character of other people's fun, quote unquote?
Yeah, I know a lot of the pros, like we had like a dev meeting before stage 3, I think, and basically all the pros were complaining to the devs. They're like, yeah, Sombra is really broken right now, and that's why she got nerfed before stage 3. It's really hard to make a hero like Sombra because she's pretty frustrating to play against. I guess people just complain whenever she's at a strong spot. And I think the LOS thing was like huge for her, because her hack now is like so bad. It's just so easy to get interrupted by the smallest things. And then the fact that like you can't follow up with the hacks even when you get them makes it even harder to play Sombra.
I get the impression from Sombra players that they weren't asking for a complete rework. What they were actually asking for was for some of her quality of life problems to be addressed.
Yeah, I definitely think people wanted that, because hack is like really, really buggy, and it just gets interrupted so easily. There's probably a load more bugs, but I haven't really been playing her because I want to focus on getting better at other heroes, since Sombra's just not that good right now, and I'm already good at her, so I haven't been playing her that much, so I'm not aware of all the bugs, but I know that she has a lot of bugs, and it's really annoying playing a buggy hero.
I guess there's no worse indictment than someone who's famous for being one of the best Sombras in Overwatch League saying, I don't play her anymore.
Yeah, it's just so hard. Like, I want to practice other heroes, and I don't think there's much point in practicing a hero that doesn't get that much value in this meta.
It's really, I guess one thing that a common thread in our conversation is, when the game is built around high burst damage heroes like a Hanzo or a Widow, and there's also mid-fight res in the game with Mercy, and there's also Brigitte in the game, there's not much room for a character like Sombra, is there?
I think Mercy is really strong against Sombra in a lot of ways, because not only does she have the really good heals and the res, she also enables burst damage heroes like Widow, Junkrat, Hanzo. All those heroes that are already effective against Sombra become even more effective with Mercy. So I think Mercy's a big problem with why Sombra isn't that strong.
What's the essential part of Sombra that you really think needs attention outside of any changes they've already made?
I would say Sombra is fine with the mobility. She's already a pretty good, like, she has good mobility. There's nothing wrong with her mobility. Maybe the only problem with it is that Diva can be across the map and just sprinkle you with 1 damage, and then you uncloak invis, which is annoying. because I don't think it should work like that. There should definitely be a damage threshold. If they're going to change invis, that's how they should change it. But I think invis and mobility is fine for the most part. But the main problem right now is that you just can't follow up with hacks or do enough damage in general on Sombra.
Obviously, there's a new hero in the game in Hammond, and he's not going to be in the Overwatch League context until Season 2. But in matchmaking, how do you think Sombra matches up with Hammond? Because hack, in principle, could be quite useful against him.
Yeah, she seems really, really strong against Hammond because when he's in his ball mode, he can't really do anything to you unless he like grapples and does like the fireball thing where he can damage you. But I think you can get the hack off before he does that. So it seems really effective against him. She'll probably hard counter him, that's what I'm assuming. Because even when he does his like meteor strike thing, I don't know what the ability's called. That's like a free hack whenever he does that. Just a lot of times it seems like you can get a free hack on him. So I think it'll be pretty strong.
So do you think if Hammond sees use at the top level, at the pro level, do you think there is room for Sombra then as a hard counter to him?
Yeah, I'm sure the meta will change a lot by the time Hammond's released, and maybe things will be tweaked. So Sombra could definitely see more playtime by then, but right now, it's hard to say.
Okay, Danteh, is there any social media links you'd like our fans to be able to check you out at?
Yeah, my Twitter is twitter.com/Danteh. My Twitch is twitch.tv/Danteh, and my YouTube channel is Danteh Overwatch. So yeah, thank you for having me on the show.
So there you go, guys. I hope you really enjoyed the interview. I want to thank Danteh again for coming on the channel and being such a great guest. I'm sure this will be a topic that creates much discussion, so I look forward to reading your feedback in the comment section below. If you do enjoy these kind of interviews, be sure to leave us a like, it really helps us out. If you never want to miss another video of ours again, please click the bell icon next to the subscribe button on our channel to join the notification squad. You'll be in great company. And finally, please follow the Your Overwatch Twitter. It's where you can find updates about new videos and other cool stuff. I've been Eddie the Chump, and until next time,